Hi and welcome to Create Your Light Pet Photography Challenge. I'm Nigel Danson, this is Pebbles. I'm usually a landscape photographer, but I'm at home and what I'm going to do is try the new Nikon autofocus in the 3.0 release and the Eye autofocus and get some shots of Pebbles, hopefully in the garden and maybe in the house, talk about light, composition and how you can get some great shots of your pet, maybe a pet dog, pet cat, and some of the top tips that can really up your photography with your Nikon Z series. Okay, so there's three things that I think are important when you're doing any type of photography really. One of them specifically to sort of people and pets and animals. The first is light, and I'll talk a little bit more about that and some different types of light that you might be able to use. The second, I think, is composition, and composition is obviously important in any photograph, you know, how you put all the bits together, and there's certain things that you can do with pet photography that I think are good, getting low, getting high, getting at eye level, but try and just mixing it up a little bit, trying different focal lengths, and I'll talk a little bit about my equipment in a minute. And then the last one is expression, and just capturing that expression, which I think is really important, especially for pet photography. I've had a little bit of a play around this morning, and I definitely think that's something that will help you get a good pet photo. So I just want to talk a little bit about gear and a little bit about the Nikon autofocus, because the new pet eye autofocus and pet face autofocus is really good. It helps you to track the subject in the frame when you're trying to focus, which is probably one of the hardest things to do with any sort of animal photography, is get it in focus. What I tend to do is everything handheld. The lens that I go to most is my 70-200, and I like the 70-200 f2.8 because it's good for just picking out pebbles, compressing the background, and also getting some separation between her and the background. So I like that. Sometimes I use my 500mm, but I find that if I'm in the garden it's just too long. My 24-70 is good as well because it's f2.8, and at the 70, sort of 50mm, 70mm end it's good. I've also got a 24mm f1.8 lens which is filming this, which I find really good as well when you want to get really close and do that wider angle shot, and I'll show you that later. And then also I quite often use a 50mm f1.8 prime as well, because I think that if you've got a prime lens and you sort of got a really low, shallow depth of field, so just Pebbles' eyes are in focus and everything else is out of focus, then that helps to separate her from the background and really concentrate on that expression. So that's a little bit about the three things we're going to concentrate on. So let's go and have a look at the first one, and that is light, and how light is important. Okay, so one of the things to think about with light is shooting in shade. So you can shoot in full sunlight, but it's better to do that at the end of the day when you've got that sort of warm glow. When you've got harsh sunlight, you want to try and shoot in the shade and just use the reflected light, so the light that's really reflected off the grass, that sort of a light Pebbles up here, and you know, trying to incorporate different angles. So here Pebbles, I've got treats, so she's trying to grab a treat off me, but what we're trying to do is just get her underneath this table here, and we might get a little bit of dappled light through the table, and then we've got a nice background. Not too bothered that the sun in the background, because that'll be out of focus and it'll create a nice effect. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to get a treat. Pebbles, come here, Pebbles, come here, sit, down, good girl, stay there. And this is when you need good autofocus. Pebbles, sit, stay. Okay, so one of the things I was saying is trying different angles, and in this shot what I'm going to try and do is get low as one thing, and then have a long lens on as well. So I've got my 70-200 at f2.8, and what I'm doing is I'm just using just a shaft of sunlight coming through here. Pebbles is going to be in that, and I'm shooting and having the shade at the bottom, then Pebbles and the sun, and then the shade in the background to sort of make Pebbles stand out a little bit. And it's always useful to think about that, where your light is falling. So one of the things we've found is it's a good idea if the person with the treat sort of walks towards camera, because obviously then Pebbles is going to be looking more towards the actual camera. And what I want to do is probably do something that's a little bit more candid, so she's not looking directly at camera but just looking off to the side, and hopefully this will work. We've been doing this for a while now. Right, so try this. What I'm going to try and do now is shoot at eye level. Eye level is a great way of shooting your dog, because obviously you're going to create connection with the dog. It's always good to shoot at eye level, but also I'm going to have more separation between the background. I'm shooting with a 50mm f1.8 lens, so it's a really shallow depth of field, so you're going to make sure focus is right. And it's overcast now, so the sun's gone in, and we've got an overcast day, which is a really good time to shoot actually, because it means you don't have to worry about any shadows or anything like that, and it's just a nice softbox on everything. The light's really good. So I've just got to get Pebbles to try and sit down here. It should be fun. So we're going to try and get her in this grass here, so she's just peeking through. It's proving easier said than done, I have to admit. It's not easy, this. You've got to have a lot of patience, and obviously you don't want to tire Pebbles out. So I've been doing these photos over like a period of a week, just to have small sessions, which is a really good idea. So we're going to try and get her to sit there. So that works really well, because she was like eating the grass, and we got a little bit of her behaviour then as well. And what was really good is the eye pet focus on here tracked it really well. So I'm really excited about looking at those photos. Okay, so it's good to try different angles. One of the angles that I've been trying today is just shooting Pebbles from the top down like this. So the key to this is actually having a few treats. So if I give Pebbles a treat, and then I have one in my hand, Pebbles, what's this? And she's more likely to look, sit at the camera, and you can get a good shot like that. Good girl. I'm shooting at 24mm f1.8, and it looks really cool from this angle. Pebbles, what's this? Good girl. And if it's raining outside, then come inside. You can shoot some great things inside. And especially if it is raining, then you've probably got sort of cloudy environment outside. You just need to go near a window. And what I found is if you go near a window and you just get her on a favourite couch or something, she just gets a little bit sleepy. And you can just, it's much easier to take shots of her. So I can just now, got my 24mm f1.8 lens, and Pebbles. She's seen something out the window. Pebbles, what are you doing? Come here. Good girl. And I can just try and get some that are quite candid. And then the final tip is all about behaviour, and then trying to get Pebbles doing some funny things. Maybe she's licking a yoghurt pot, or maybe you're out walking and you just have her in front of your favourite wellies or something like that, and just trying to get her in her environment, or capturing the character as well. Now, a top tip is that was given to me by a really well-known pet photographer called Elke, and it was using a squeaker. So if I was just photographing her like this, then if I just used a squeaker, it just gets her attention a little bit, and sometimes she bobs her head to the side, and that works really well for just getting a little bit of a different character. Well done, Pebbles. You've done really well. Okay, so now it's over to you, and the top tip is you need a lot of patience and perseverance, but you should be able to create some great shots of your pet. And I'm really looking forward to seeing them, so make sure you share them with the hashtag #CreateYourLight. Good luck.